Bulletcast for life.
Get up! This is a revolution! This is our time to rise! Look deep within your mind, look deep into the hate in my eyes. We are the elite, and you are the weak. No matter how hard I fall, I'll get back up on my feet. Red alert, this is gonna hurt when you're...
Going on, ladies and gentlemen, it is I, the microphone Messiah, Phillip Brandon, joined by the Canadian destroyer BT Brandon Tanguma. We are here for yet another week in the world of professional wrestling. BT, what's going on, man?
What up, everyone? Hopefully everyone had a fun, safe 4th of July where you still have all 10 fingers. Hopefully,
and
hopefully
10
good.
toes.
And 10, I mean, I don't know how you'd be blowing off your toes, but...
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. You try to move out the way you think you have enough time, and then...
Bag it up, Terry.
Hey, man. Put it in reverse, Terry. Yeah, man. I shot 4th of July. It was my mother's birthday. She had a great time.
Shout out, happy birthday, Mama. Mama
Yeah,
Antoine.
That Sancho Demira guy was a little mean to her at the show, though. I don't know about that.
What a dick.
That's that bastard. That rat bastard. Let's get into it, man. Apparently Sheamus has left WWE. What the hell is going on?
I don't know. I mean, it's another one of those veterans where they allegedly maybe gave him a contract offer where maybe the offer was a little lower than what they've been doing in the past, or they didn't feel as though it was adequate, or maybe just Sheamus doesn't feel creatively fulfilled. Whatever the case may be, but we had the New Day leave earlier, now we got Sheamus leaving. You know,
I mean, Ziggler left before that. I know people have been, obviously the term WWE lifer has been going around. I saw Booker T say, "What the hell even is that?" Yeah, man, it's unfortunate. Sheamus was one of those guys. I mean, really, the rocket was strapped to him very, very early. WWE TV debut in 2009. A couple months later, he defeats John Cena. This is '09 John Cena. I'm talking about '09 Randy Orton, '09 John Cena. He didn't lose a lot. And Sheamus beat him for the WWE Championship, man. And then, I mean, he had multiple world title runs and everything. And the last couple of years, that chase for the Intercontinental title, I mean, it was growing. It was as hot as Gable's chase. And then we just never got there, man. I don't know, man. Maybe, Shamo will go have just awesome, I know, bangers. I'm sorry, Brandon, the bangers. He'll just go have banger matches, and then maybe he can come back and fulfill that destiny. Yeah, man. Sheamus had a great body of work, man. A lot of fun. I mean, that quick title change at WrestleMania 28 kind of led to the real heavy going of the Yes movement and everything like that. And then obviously the bar, and hey, maybe we get a bar reunion in AEW, man. I think that would be fun. Like babyface Claudio. Are the Death Riders babyface or heels?
they're the Death Riders because they're baby faces when they're with a Will Ospreay, but then they're attacking, the Bang Bang Gang.
All right. Well, yeah, man. Maybe get a little bar reunion. Do some things. Do some things. What are your thoughts on Shamo leaving the WWE?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting story. Kind of came out of nowhere. I know Sheamus has been dealing with some injuries here and there the last few years, so haven't seen too much of him. But when he was on TV, he was putting on really good matches, and he was kind of one of those guys that I wasn't watching in '09 when he was the fresh new guy winning the championship, but then he won against Daniel Bryan, and that was my boy, and he kind of never really clicked at that very tippy top level, but he kind of found his watermark, kind of like in that mid to upper mid card with the tag teams. And obviously what he was doing, he kind of had like a career renaissance these last few years. And I think he's, people kind of came back around to him. And I wonder what he'll do. Obviously AEW is something that people were going to speculate because, like you said, Claudio's there. I don't know. Maybe he just kind of fades off and, does his own thing, wrestles, or maybe goes into acting because I think he's done some acting stuff with WWE. So maybe that's something he'll do.
Possibly, man. I mean, my guy's a former 4-time world champion, man. Shout out to bro. Shout out to the guy. Yeah. You remember Sheamus 515? Do you remember Sheamus 515?
I remember that he cashed in on old Roman Reigns and the meme of him just lying sad in the confetti.
Yeah, man. Sheamus 515 was responsible for a lot of stuff. Sheamus really didn't get enough credit for how good he was in ring, man. I mean, I think he has now because of the physical matches. I mean, obviously Clash of the Castle 2022 and all, but man, like the matches he was like, even the matches he was having with Big Show back in the day, man, they were hard hitting. They hit a certain echelon, man. Burrow was doing some really good work. The feud with Orton, all the good, all the good stuff, man. I hope he lands somewhere and they can really utilize him. Um, it's been the 30th anniversary of the NWO.
Yeah, July 7th was the 30th anniversary of Bash at the Beach 96, which obviously that's when Hulk Hogan turned
Brother.
brother. And I mean, set off the Monday Night Wars, set off, the biggest non WWE, WWF, period in history. And it's for better for worse, we're still feeling, the after effects of the NWO to this day, and it's still one of the highest grossing. We still see NWO t-shirts. I mean, hell, I bought a Dennis Rodman NWO shirt at WrestleMania this year. So Kevin Nash talked about it. Unfortunately, he's the last living member of the original trio, so he kind of talked about that, how it's kind of like, a bittersweet kind of anniversary because, obviously Hogan left last year, and then Hall left a few years ago. So, now Hall's are Nash is the last one standing, unfortunately.
Yeah, man, it's crazy, man. He kind of it's I mean you thought Hogan was truly immortal, brother, because a lot of the boys of that era were going and he was always still here. And then, with Scott Hall, I mean he got clean, but eventually, just demons and things and that falling and it's being, oh man, that's really the sad one. Jesus. But yeah, man, 30 years ago, I mean, they changed the game. It forever changed the history. I mean, to think what would have happened, like what if Sting was the third man? How different would things have been? And like if they, let's say if it was reversed, Sting is in the NWO and Hogan's the good guy. I'm saying my prayers, eating my vitamins, brother. Does it still work? Do we go to Starcade '97? Do they actually have a good match with a good finish and all these things? A lot of. I watched a Butterfly Effect video recently. It's a lot of things, man.
I mean, I know it's hard for us to kind of fathom just because we weren't there to watch it, but the
I mean,
Hulk, Ho-
we were around.
we were there. We just weren't watching. We were two little babies. But Hulk Hogan turning be in that was unfathomable, but it was like the right time because he was not at the point to where he was drawing. People were turning on him because everyone people turning on John Cena, Roman Reigns. That's not a new thing. Fans do that. Have been doing that for century or for generations.
Yeah.
And Hogan luckily was able to see the writing on the wall and also the dollar signs, I think, as well. And he went down that route, and it obviously paid off for him.
Jack Perry's possibly a free agent. What happened?
So there's a rumored innuendo that his contract is coming up. There's active negotiations, and still no contract has been signed yet. So he lost the title, so he doesn't have any obligations really. We haven't seen him too much on television. Kind of loosely associated with
What
the
title
Bucks.
did he have?
He had the Jesus, now you're putting me on the spot. It's the newest one they just had. It's the AEW National Champion. Is that what
Oh,
it's
the one that
called?
looks like the television title in NWA. Yeah, yeah. No, he won it at the golf course, right?
Uh-huh. So, speculation what he will do. I mean, obviously with CM Punk in WWE, I don't know how that would happen if he were to jump ship to go to WWE, but Perry's one of those West Coast guys, those California boys that is very in with Tony Khan and the Young Bucks, so it'd be very surprising, honestly, if he were to leave AEW because he seems like, not that he's going to get, the homeboy
You
deal, but
lifer?
possibly. I mean, I just don't see him unless it's such a big deal for him to go to WWE, which I know some wrestlers will talk about, but he's like such a good spot. Maybe not on the card wise, but just his boys are all there in AEW. I don't know why he would leave.
Yeah, I mean, wait to see what happens with that. Jake Roberts is no longer with AEW.
No, he announced this past week that he's just no longer with the company anymore. Doesn't There's no ill will, no fallout or anything. Unfortunately, Jake's health issues, catching up with him a little bit. He's has the breathing tube and stuff like that, and he can't really do anything
The
physically.
oxygen, yeah.
So I mean, he was there with Lance Archer, and he was doing some stuff, but he was very sporadic when he would show up, and I think he was doing some community stuff and a lot of behind the scenes things for AEW, but just time runs out and they just felt like, time to move on. And I think at that point, it makes a lot of sense. And if he were to go back to WWE to sign like a Legends deal or something, it's, perfectly fine. It makes a lot of sense for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Go hit the Fanatics Fest. Go sign some action figures. Go get some new Mattel figures. Yeah, man. Jake Roberts, even just have him go down to the PC and talk. Do it. Let him teach a promo class, man. Jake Roberts has a lot more to offer this industry, man. Um, Vikingo, El Hijo del Vikingo, has a knee injury.
Yeah, I had the really fun match on SmackDown with Dragon Lee, which I keep telling, or with with Ray
Ray
Phoenix.
Phoenix.
But unfortunately, seemed to be something happening. I don't know if it was directly in that match or kind of aggravated something, but it seems as though he has a pretty severe, or at least serious knee injury that's going to take him out for quite some time. He's supposed to wrestle, I believe, this Friday for AAA, but
That's not happening now.
it is, yeah, it's not happening. Vikingo's smaller guy, and he's unfortunately like similar to Rey Mysterio, dealt with like a lot of knee injuries, and that type of style on that body kind of catches up with him. And he's not, I mean, he's not 21 by any means, but he's still relatively young. I think he might still be in his 20s. Yeah, he's 29, so I mean, pretty young to be having a lot of these health issues. But hopefully everything gets better and he can come back strong.
Absolutely. Let's get into SmackDown. Uh, Sami Zayn has his championship celebration. Cody Rhodes comes out there and says, you were the first person to congratulate me at WrestleMania 40. I want to be the first person to congratulate you. Congratulations, champ. Sami says, that's not why you're out here. You're out here to politic and be the golden boy and get the title back. And then Jey Uso says, or he comes out there and says, I need to take that title back to the family. Sami's like, as far as I'm concerned, it's already still back in the family, Us. And then they make the match for Cody and Jey Uso later on the night. Cody Rhodes defeats Jey Uso, so he's supposed to go on to Monday Night Raw in Chicago to challenge Sami Zayn for the undisputed title. What are your thoughts on that whole thing?
Yeah, fun segment. Sammy getting to celebrate and kind of continue his smarmy character and go after Cody, go after Jay. The two baby faces that the crowd likes, but I still get a kick out of the Sammy character. And the match with Cody and Jay, it was good. I think we kind of expected Cody to win, and there was really no shenanigans to speak of. It was just a straightforward win for Cody. The thought process and the angle, which maybe we'll talk a little bit more about when it comes to Raw, of just Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis and kind of the power dynamic between those two, and if it's going to lead to anything. For Pearce putting the title match on Raw, and then what Aldis did on Raw. So overall it was a good overall story, and also praise the Lord, SmackDown is back to 2 hours. And Philip, you should probably not pull a Brandon.
When did that happen? When did that happen?
I believe this was the first week.
Oh, well, there you go.
Maybe it was last week. Hand up accountability. I did not watch SmackDown.
Why not?
I'm just being accountable for the people out there. I did watch this week's SmackDown, so I'm ready to talk everything.
You should be always ready to talk it all, man. I'm sorry. Laney Reed defeated Brie Bella. How do you feel about that?
Good for her. Brie Bella, I believe she talked about on her podcast that she was kind of mad, not mad, but just disappointed about the lack of time that the match had. But I mean, God bless him. I think the less you have Brie Bella out there wrestling by herself is probably for the better.
What do you mean, bro?
I would just say, you know what? I was going to say something. I'm not going to say it. I'll be nice.
No. I've never been afraid of my take. Say it.
Okay, I'm just going to say that, maybe wrestling talent isn't sexually transmitted. Shout out my goat, Bryan Danielson.
These are not the views of the Bullet Cast as a whole. These are the views of Brandon Tanguma by himself, Brie Bella. Hey, man, I was there. I know this was like 12 years ago, 2014, but hey, man, her and Nikki cooked at that Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. Brie Bella, former world champion, man. He puts respect in her name. Anyway, Blake Monroe attacks Kiana James and Julia. You get a little triple threat, little thing going on here. What do we know?
Yeah, Blake Monroe, I don't know what the plan. I mean, I don't know what the plans with Julia because like they had her turn on Kiana. It was in Italy, so it had like a big moment, but that's kind of like the only place I think you're going to get a decent reaction for Julia, and they don't do shows in Japan, so they're probably not. That's not going to happen for her, unfortunately. Um, yeah, I mean, Blake, they're definitely kind of putting her on a pedestal and kind of pushing her out the gate. I think she's talented, even though maybe her NXT run was a little bit of a disappointment. So maybe her on the bigger stage, she can, represent better. Her and Julia theoretically should be good matches. So we'll see if they still have that chemistry back from their Stardom days.
Wait, whose NXT run was kind of a?
Blake Monroe. I mean,
Yeah, I felt like she should have won the big title. Like that didn't happen. No, like they got away from they had a formula for a while. Person comes, debuts, eventually they win the title, have a 6-7 month run, then they drop it and go to the main roster. Like now, people they've never won the title and all these other things, man. It's very interesting.
I mean, Jordan Grace, I think, is the same way. I don't know what they're
Did
doing
she
with
even
her.
win a title down there?
She's MIA right now on WWE television. I think she's perfectly fine because I see her like tweet and post videos on Instagram. So it's like I don't think she's hurt or anything. I don't know. She's just the catering women's champion right now.
Oh Jesus, you're just saying it all today. Oh man,
I'm not saying I wanted to be I wanted to be the real women's champion.
hey, come on now. Let's talk about NXT, man. Reina Volcan, the former Nikki Blackheart, had debuted in NXT last week, attacking Tatum Paxton. Then they had the promo video package vignette for this week. Good stuff, man. I'm excited for her. Following sis on the indie scene for a little bit now. She looks the part. She's very good in ring. So let's see what she can do, man. And then NXT's been they've been doing some stuff, man. Kendall Gray retains the NXT Women's title against Natty, and then Jada Parker comes out there and gets in Natty's face. NXT, I feel like Stephanie and Julia, like these were the big NXT signings. They weren't there for that long, and then they left, and there was kind of a void in NXT, and then like the Evolve talent, like it feels like you blink and like there was Stephanie and Julia. Now it's the first class of the Evolve talent that they brought in, and now they're running around with the championships and everything. Yeah, but it's good stuff, man. Kendall Gray, she has a good look about her, amateur background and everything, and a good quick little finisher. She does the jumping complete shot, Shelton Benjamin. So now good stuff. I'm excited for her development and her future in the company, man.
Yeah, NXT is definitely kind of like in a transition period with, a lot of not bigger names, but, a lot of the established names kind of on their way out up to the main roster. So now they have a lot of people who, trying to make a name for us right now. Kendall Gray, she's been doing good work down there. And then nice to see that we got like another kind of indie talent signing to NXT because we've been getting a lot of, the former D1 athletes coming in, and nice to see her. And the other woman, I forget what her name is, the rocker, the English rocker.
Easy Rain.
So, so some people with some outside WWE wrestling experience is always good. And, for whatever reason, Triple H said on the Untold show that the women, for whatever reason, get it better than the men. So
yeah, no, I mean it's look at the course of history. We got to talk about Monday Night Raw, man. Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn are backstage, and Sammy's like, "Oh, you think you're gonna come back and take this title and be the Golden Boy?" No, you're not. And then Cody's like, "Yeah, I co-sign everything you just said." Gunther comes and attacks Cody and tells Sammy, "You're a disgracious champion. It's a fluke." And then Gunther kicks in Cody's head into the door, and Cody's bleeding, not medically clear to compete.
I mean, it was a solid angle to start off with. I thought, at the beginning, it was like, oh, they're gonna give Cody a reason for losing the championship match. He's kind of hurt. He's not all there. Sammy can, have a real victory over Cody Rhodes, maybe like pin him clean in the middle of the ring with like his finish or something. But that is not what happened.
That is not what happened. Nick Aldis shows up from leave, and he puts the word in for somebody to replace Cody Rhodes, and the garage door opens, the same garage door that Drew McIntyre carried a certain chick magnet Punk in the last time they were in Chicago during their feud. The big garage door opens, CM Punk shows up in gear, that music hits, and he makes it to the ring, and Sami Zayn and him go for about, 15-20 minutes. And CM Punk is the new WWE champion. I've been waiting to say that since he came back, man. Hey, bro, the third person to hold the new designs of these championships besides Drew and Roman Reigns, two people he's had heated rivalries with. Not only that, to win the world title, to hold the world title and the undisputed title in the same year, that's different. That's different.
I am. There's a lot of people on the internet right now jumping down CM Punk's throat, calling him a hypocrite, calling him Hogan. There's
Yeah,
just
man.
a
I've
bunch
seen,
of stuff going on. Obviously on the surface, like, okay, yeah, Punk years and years and years have talked about how the part-time guys just swoop in and take the opportunities for the full-time guys. Punk technically is he's like a full-time, part-time guy. He's there when
yeah,
he's
no,
there, he's there every week.
yeah, no. When he's in a feud, like he'll work for a period of like a few months and maybe take like a couple weeks or a month off, and then come. I mean, this was his longest layoff in a little bit since being back. Really, I mean, obviously besides like him getting hurt and everything. But yeah, man. I mean, I've seen the photo. Instead of Brett and Hogan, it's Cody and Punk, and then people have been going on Twitter and tearing him to shreds and everything. Uh, Man, this I heard somebody say this reminds you of the Attitude Era. Like somebody would win the title on Monday and drop it on a Friday. Like uh, I think they've gotten too used to long title runs. You know what I'm saying? Like this. I mean, like Raymond. This damn near. They say like the John Cena Rey Mysterio situation. I saw probably the best comparison was remember when Christian won the world title and then lost it to Randy on that next SmackDown?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
like
there's definitely like a fine line where like I think long title reigns do help, but then kind of in the interim we see like with a MJF or a Roman Reigns, like yeah, they're not going to lose to whoever this person is. They're going to lose it to like the bigger matches later down the line. So it's kind of a give and take on that front. But I am not going to complain and be like, oh my God, CM Punk just comes in and took it from Sam because I do enjoy what Sam is doing. If you haven't seen it, go check out the promo Sammy cut after the show with like CM Punk's music in the background, just the emotion and everything like that. It was fantastic.
it's only going to add fuel to the fire. It's going to add to that next development of Sami Zayn. And then maybe he goes down a certain road and it leads him to being a babyface champion, and he wins it in Riyadh next year, which was what we thought was going to happen. And then he can go on and have that run that everybody wants him to have, man. And plus, like, I mean, the I assume we're getting CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes at SummerSlam, and that's a massive match, man. That is
Yeah,
massive.
allegedly that's kind of a fast forward because they were saying maybe that was supposed to be the match at WrestleMania, but they're kind of pushing that up to SummerSlam.
I mean, I'm just think about it, like the story that they can tell. These are two guys that both left the company because they were frustrated. Cody went and bro, it's simple. It's like what Cody said in his last promo in AEW. Everything Punk said in the pipe bomb, he actually did. He left. He went to Ring of Honor. He went to New Japan. He started a whole rival company that Punk came back to wrestling for. Like, man, there's a lot of meat on the bone there that's going to hype up SummerSlam. SummerSlam is about to be massive. Think about it. On the SummerSlam card, you have Brock Lesnar and Obafemi, which we're going to talk about that Hell in the Cell. And on night one and night two, you have Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins with all the Shield lore competing for the title that they created because Roman held the undisputed title hostage. And then you have CM Punk back in WWE, a place we never thought he would go back to, a place he talked shit about so much. He's holding the top title once again, and he's going at it with the guy that did everything in his most famous act. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot there. And so that's very interesting, man. Sammy, he's gonna go to do something. Now there's the Gunther of it all. I still think Gunther is gonna wrestle Nick Aldis at SummerSlam. I think Nick Aldis is gonna take off the suit for one night, get a one night contract to be a competitor, and then boom, once it happens, it happens. And but then where do you go with Sammy? Does he try to interfere in the WWE title match? There's a lot to go on there. I don't want it to be another triple threat or fatal four-way situation at all. I think a plain, just simple one-on-one match: CM Punk and Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, and I think Punk is smart enough to acknowledge what happened.
Oh no, yeah, he definitely will. SmackDown's must see now.
Yeah, Punk is, for better or for worse, very like in tune with what people think about him, and so I know he'll probably have some sort of explanation. And I mean, maybe this leads to a Punk heel turn. I mean, people were very happy for this because they were in Chicago. This is the perfect audience for something like this to happen. I think they're in Milwaukee. I don't know where they're at for SmackDown, but we're gonna have to wait and see what the reaction to Punk is because I know it's just it's the internet. It's not real life. But like if there is kind of a growing fervor against Punk, maybe not saying that's the reason he's going to turn, but maybe at the end of the day, this will be the reason. And like you said, maybe you have him hold this title up until WrestleMania. Sammy wins the title. He kind of turns babyface because he feels like he was
That
wronged.
would be perfect, bro, for Sami Zayn to defeat CM Punk for the title. Yeah, I think that's something.
Yeah, you switch it up, heel Punk, face Sammy in Saudi Arabia. They're gonna cheer
Oh,
Sammy
that
regardless, but it would be
CM
even
Punk
hotter
heel
if
in
that
Saudi
happens.
Arabia would be it. Yeah.
I mean, hopefully Punk doesn't say anything stupid because he might not come back in one piece, but or come back at all.
Pepsi Phil, he'll get out of there. He'll just have Danhausen curse the. Never mind, I'm not even gonna say that. Anyway,
I thought we don't hold our
yeah,
things
have
back,
him
Phil.
curse the Saudi government. Anyway,
Okay.
Obafemi. I mean, actually, no. Before we get to that, Seth Rollins is out there cutting a promo talking about why him and Roman are having this match. LA Knight comes out there. LA Knight made a lot of great points. You lost the first round of King of the Ring. You could just come out there and say, brother, let's have a match for old time's sake, brother, and to get a world title shot. Now, I thought maybe, they make a match, put your opportunity on the line, but then LA Knight would have to take another loss. Yeah. Yeah. And then Jimmy Uso comes out there and super kicks LA Knight.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where with the face, I mean, I know they're both faces, but the LA Knight, what he was saying was very true. I mean, he was like he was saying the kind of the quiet parts out loud, and it's 1 week. WWE is just gonna like sweep these things under the rugs, and they're gonna just forget about all the things that Knight was saying, and they're just gonna go back and do the Seth Roman face to face thing next week because Roman's gonna be there. But I thought it was a good promo from LA Knight because he was kind of saying all the things I keep saying about Seth and everything. So I quite enjoyed it, even though it might not have been very productive for building anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good confrontation. Obafemi and Paul Heyman have a segment. Obafemi basically says, "Hey, I need to go through hell to get to heaven, and I'll see your boy in hell."
Yeah, I mean, pretty straightforward. These Oba Paul segments are good. I think it does showcase that Oba can hang on the mic, and he might not be a Paul Heyman level talker, but he's above average, and I think that's all he needs with his physicality and his look. And I think Brock is supposed to be there next week, so we'll probably get one of the 1,000 pull apart brawls that we keep getting with these. And
Brock Lesnar is good for a pull apart, man.
we got like what three Raws until then, so maybe we'll get like another one on the go home show, and we'll get another talking segment sandwich.
Is Obafemi at Fanatics Fest?
I have no idea.
I would love for one of these matches to have an angle at Fanatics Fest. Cody and Punk probably is going to have an angle at Fanatics Fest. The Vision win back the World Tag Team Championships. Logan Paul is out there, slides in brass knuckles, but then it's a dummy brass knuckle. He slides in the real brass knuckle to what is it? Braun Breaker Theory, whichever one. Montez Ford dives on Braun Breaker. Angelo Dawkins gets the real brass knuckle. Logan Paul gets ejected. Maxine Dupree turns heel, shows up, low blows Angelo Dawkins. Austin Theory gets the pin. He gets the title and the girl. What a night. What a night. This may be what the Vision needed, man. This may be what the Vision needed to reinvigorate it.
I mean, it could be. I mean, you put Mac. I don't know what Maxine does to the faction.
This is what you do, man. You let them run with those tag titles. All right, they have like a cool little couple month run. Eventually, they are going to lose them. In the meantime, Chad Gable goes on to defeat Penta for the Intercontinental Championship, and then once the tag titles are off the Vision, we have Maxine, come in contact with Chad Gable, and we have her starting to try to get Austin Theory to the Intercontinental Championship. They have a match, maybe Chad retains it. They have another one, maybe Austin Theory defeats Chad Gable for the Intercontinental Championship. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Austin Theory. How long? It's been like 10 years. I feel like we've been talking about Austin Theory.
I feel like
Austin Theory
is it.
Theories.
This is finally it. Is what? Is he 30 yet?
Let's see.
How old is Austin? How old is Austin's Theory?
Mr. Austin Theory is still only 28, going to be 29 in a month.
Dude, come on. I feel like we're finally going to get there. Let them be a great mid card heel act. Hell, this may even lead Maxine back to an Intercontinental title. We don't know. Heel Maxine defeating Sol Ruka for the Intercontinental Championship, with Austin Theory also holding the Intercontinental Championship, and then you can do one of those mixed tag, what it's for all the gold matches or something. Maybe Sol Ruka and Chad Gable team up together to win back their titles. There are things we can do here. Do you see the vision?
I mean, we're getting another coat of paint on Austin Theory. This is like maybe like his fifth or sixth now at this point. Um, you're
Look,
adding
man.
another member to the vision. So God bless Maxine, rapper and bubble wrap. Hopefully nothing happens to her.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to help these people out, man. Speaking of Sol Ruka, she retains the Women's Intercontinental Championship in a very fun match against Raquel Rodriguez. Uh, yeah, man. Io Sky comes out there to make the saving moonsaults on Roxanne Perez and Liv Morgan, and so beautiful soul snatcher to end the match. Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. EO comes in and kind of helps out. Maybe this is, talked about it last week of where EO's going to get her friends from, and maybe it's going to be like her soul and maybe returning Stephanie Vaquer. Um, you know, later down the line, if they're going to do a women's war games, maybe that's what the match will be. Um, but yeah, so Ruka just ever since beating Becky Lynch, Becky's kind of gone off and she hasn't really done anything. So it's kind of like Soul's. I kind of want Soul to like have something to like sink her teeth into because it's just like at this point she's almost like having open challenges without it being an open challenge gimmick. She just kind of has a match and that's it without like a story really involved behind it.
Hey, man, a lot of those you just get them on TV to you let the fans connect with them and everything, and then eventually we'll get the story. Eventually, we will get that story, man.
Well, yeah, she's been good. She's been hitting the soul snatchers, which it was a little rough at the beginning, but I think she's found her footing, literally.
Man, foot and been there, man. Stop playing with him. All right, we're gonna throw it to Brandon so we can talk about AEW.
All right, so we had AEW Beach Break. This was another one of their theme shows. This was in Clearwater, Florida. It's actually in a amphitheater. I forget exactly what the building name was, but it was very reminiscent of the old Daly's Place days. I think it was like 3,000 to 3,500 people were there. It looked really nice. Everyone's kind of like flat and spaced out. So even though maybe it wasn't that big of a crowd compared to some of these arenas, I thought on television it looked pretty good. And I thought the atmosphere was great overall. They kicked the show off with a Kenny Omega interview in the locker room. He was with Michael Nakazawa, someone we have not seen on AEW television in quite some time. And Kenny was just very serious, matter of fact, talking about his match coming up against MJF for the championship. If he loses, he can't face for the title ever again. He talked about how he sent the Young Bucks home. He's taking this very seriously. He doesn't want the Young Bucks to be involved at all. And I thought this was a fantastic promo. I think Kenny has hit all the right beats in this feud. He's been fantastic, and I think he's an underrated serious promo. The problem with Kenny is sometimes he's not always serious, and his maybe true character, I think, comes out a little too much. But when he's serious and he's locked in, I think Kenny Omega is a really good promo, and he's been showcasing that these past two shows. First match was Tommaso Ciampa and Chris Jericho, and this was just a fun brawl. They kind of battled all over the stage. It was very heavily beach themed. There was sand on the entrance stage. There was a lifeguard tower. There was inflatables. There was some other stuff related to beachiness. And Ciampa and Jericho used it, and they wrestled for 10, 15 minutes. And Ciampa ended up getting the win on Jericho. Solid match from these two guys. Ciampa gets a win. Biggest win thus far for Ciampa in AEW. Jericho continues to put over these guys, starting off with Ricochet. Now he's putting over Tommaso Ciampa. So, Jericho still in a somewhat prominent position, kind of on the lower mid card. But he's, losing matches. But it's Jericho. He can kind of always bounce back. And either they continue the feud or Jericho moves on to something else. Then we had the International Championship. Takeshita defended against Kyle Fletcher. Fletcher, as you'd expect, an absolutely fantastic match. They just go back and forth. Fletcher hit a brainbuster on Takeshita on the turnbuckle, and he just pinned him and winded him. No shenanigans. It's an international title, so there's no well, that's a continental title, but there was no Don Callis shenanigans really at all. There was just a straightforward wrestling match between these two guys, and Fletcher wins. So now it's 1. Well, I don't know exactly what the thing is, but Fletcher ends up getting the win. I thought it was a fantastic match as you would expect. Not surprising that Takeshita dropped the title here since Takeshita is moving on, at least going to Japan to take place in the G1. So, Takeshita can go off for a month and then come back for the All-In build and take on Fletcher for the international title, whether that's a one-on-one, maybe Okada gets involved and it's a three-way. But a good match, but not a surprise that we had a title change on this show. And then we had the Casino Gauntlet, which was a women's Casino Gauntlet where the winner would take on Tekla at the Redemption pay-per-view. And we had, a parade of people you'd expect to fill out the roster. And Willow Nightingale ends up making her return from injury and gets the win by pinning, I believe it was Julia Hart. So both members of the Triangle of Madness were involved in this. Tekla was on commentary. She was all over the place. I think she's found a good stride with her character. She's kind of, it's not like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like kind of awkward, but it's kind of like, it's an enjoyable kind of awkwardness and kind of the way she talks. And, English isn't her first language. So she, maybe her English is pretty good, but it's always a little awkward when she's talking. But I think she has the bravado and the swag that I think she carries herself quite nicely. And Willow and Tekla should be a really good match. I wonder we still don't know exactly, I think, what happened with Willow in terms of like her injury. So, because she was supposed to be in the Owen Hart tournament, she dropped out, she dropped her TBS title, and she was gone for like a month, and then she comes back, and she's kind of just right there in the mix to take on Tekla for the title. So we'll have to wait and see on that front. Then, hate to break kayfabe, guys, but if you couldn't tell, I'm recording this on a different session than when me and Philip are recording. And me and Philip recorded before Dynamite. And so now I'm recording this after Dynamite. And so I know this all the way at the end, but you can kind of just ignore what we just said at the beginning where we talked about Jack Perry being a possible free agent because they ran an entire segment of Jack Perry talking about his history in AEW and what it means, what the company means to him, and that he is re-signing with AEW. So I just got a kick out of that because we went on this, and it wasn't like a long, we didn't talk about it for a long time, but we threw it in here and just for it to kind of throw back in her face, and it's already moot by the time this episode goes up. So yeah, Jack Perry's re-signed with AEW. Like I said, I think it makes a ton of sense for him to stay with the company. I didn't really see him as a solid fit in WWE, especially with CM Punk over there, and he has so many allies in AEW that I think it would be not a dumb mistake to go to WWE, but just he's in such a comfortable spot right now, even though he might not be at the top of the card and he's not, the pillar that that they said he would be at the beginning. It's really just been MJF and Darby Allin to really emerge as the pillars if we're going to talk about, Sammy Guevara and Jack Perry, and you can even throw Britt Baker in there as she was kind of talked about as like the fifth or the fourth pillar. But yeah, Jack Perry resigns with AEW, not a shock. But the main event, the show, the match that everyone is talking about that had a lot of build up to it. Well, not a long build, but it was a good build. And that was MJF and Kenny Omega. We did have a promo early in the show with Will Ospreay kind of talking about the match. And they had MJF interrupt, and they kind of went back and forth and talked about each other, kind of building up the match for later in the night, and also the possibility of MJF and Ospreay at Wembley. And they had a pull-apart brawl. And that kind of set up the match, or the ending of the match, where Kenny and MJF, they go out there, they wrestle, they brawl in the crowd a little bit. There was a nasty bump where because, different configuration at the amphitheater, the ring announce table was very close to the ring, and they took the double over the top rope bump where they kind of there's a suplex and they all kind of fall over, and Kenny hit really hard his leg on the table because the table was maybe I don't know, 3 to 4 feet kind of away from the ring, and so it was a lot closer than you've ever really seen it before, and he took a nasty bump, but he seemed to be okay. He came back, and they just wrestled a fantastic match, and Kenny Omega seems to be all the way back. He's not going to be prime 2016 Kenny, but I think for at his age and his current health status, I think this is probably the best Kenny Omega we've seen in quite some time. MJF was resorting to his typical MJF tactics. He took out the belt, Bryce Remsburg stopped him. Kenny Omega then had the belt. He was gonna hit him, but he didn't. Then we had a low blow, heat seeker. Kenny Omega kicks out. Then we get the Dynamite Diamond ring getting pulled out from the trunks. Kenny Omega tries, or MJF tries to hit Kenny with it, but Will Ospreay stops, and um, that then leads to the finish. We did have another kick out of one, something that I think AEW has done a lot recently, maybe leaning it too much on it, because I think we saw two kick out at ones on Forbidden Door, and then we saw one here with Kenny, and Kenny ends up getting the win, hitting the one. He fires up after the kick out of one, hits the one winged angel, pins MJF 1, 2, 3, and the new AEW champion is Kenny Omega. So they've kind of hot potatoed the title back and forth over the past month, going from Darby Allin to MJF, um, then back to Kenny Omega. So really good match. Like I said, they put the graphic up. They are kind of almost ignoring Redemption that's taking place next in a couple weeks, and they're just going straight to Wembley Stadium at the end of August, August 30th, with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay. I would hope that is the match at All In, and they're not gonna kind of shoehorn MJF and make this a triple threat match. Not saying it's going to be a bad match if MJF is in there. It's a triple threat, but I think it just means more and it's a bigger deal if it's a one-on-one. We've seen this many times, mainly in WWE. I mean, the biggest example was that WrestleMania main event with Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey. They kind of shoehorned Charlotte in there. It would have been a much bigger deal if it was just one-on-one. The match itself was okay, qualms about the actual technical aspect of it, but and then even like last year's WrestleMania where everyone wanted Roman Reigns and CM Punk, but then they had Seth Rollins thrown in there. We ended up getting the Roman Reigns CM Punk match this year, but I think more oftentimes than not, the singles match is better than the triple threat match, and I'm hoping they stick to that and they don't kind of MJF wants to be in the match, but he kind of gets distracted with whoever it's going to be, whether it's Hangman returning, Swerve, or some other person, and he has his own match at All Out or All In, and he can kind of come back and wrestle for the title later down the line, or maybe he gets his rematch at Redemption and he loses that one as well, and so he can't really challenge for the title at All Out or all. These All Out All In things are messing me up, but you know what I'm saying. So hopefully they kind of stick to their guns and keep it Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega, and I would assume we're going to get a rematch with Kenny and MJF at Redemption, but that one's not exactly set in stone quite yet. But overall, fantastic show. Once again, very heavily wrestling related. Oh, I did skip over the fact after the Kyle Fletcher win, we did get a Mick Foley interview with Kyle Fletcher and the Don Callis family. They kind of went after him a little bit. Darby Allin didn't Andrade came out, and then Darby Allin kind of helped Andrade to take down the Don Callis family. So I think they're setting up, they're planting the seeds for a Mick Foley and Friends versus Don Callis family match at All In. So just keep an eye on that. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the match, the return match for Mick Foley and the debut of him in AEW. So that's just the AEW Dynamite recap. Once again, really good show. AEW's really clicking and hitting on all cylinders, and they're on the road to All In. Well, they're first on the road to Redemption, but they're clearly setting up things for All In. So yeah, that's it. Heading on back to Phillip.
Well, there you go. Another weekly recap of All Elite Wrestling. All right, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of things are going on this weekend. Two things I will be at. Make sure you come tap in with the kid. First things first, UGWA, Hail UGWA, July 11th, Saturday. Crisis on Infinite UGWAs. There's a lot going on. Ocean Avery versus Nick Xander. Jordan Cruz versus Daniel Torch. Mighty Bubbles, Tiana and Mighty Myra are going up against Beatrice Domino and Brittany Wonder. You have Dave Reckoning and Sir Michael Windsor for the Gatekeeper Championship. The vacant Gatekeeper Championship, I might add. Not only that, you also got Colin Muldoon going up against Brett the Thread, Dave Dutra and Marcus Erics for the OG Championship. And the UGWA tag titles are on the line. Two Fresh go up against the Caution. Then what's going on, man? Stockton Con. Stockton Con, you're a big Stockton Con
I've
guy.
been there a time or two.
Right? That is going on this weekend. July 11th and 12th at the Stockton Arena, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. You already know what's going down. Let's see who's gonna be there, man. See Andrew Nelson, Darth Vader. I've talked to him a time or two. Very great guy. Let's see. Hey man, vote for Pedro will be there.
See,
Efren Ramirez will be in attendance. Karen Parsons, who played Hillary Banks on The Fresh Prince, she will be there. And Aunt Viv, the original Aunt Viv, Janet Hubert will be there as well. This is a wrestling podcast, obviously. So Demolition, the newly minted WWE Hall of Famers, will be in attendance. So will Mick Foley, Mrs. Foley's baby boy. And then, of course, Bloodline will be in the house. Rikishi and his son, Tamiko Fatu, both in attendance. Unfortunately, the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle was unable to attend this one, so he will be making waves at a later Stockton Con. And then also Stockton Con will have SPW in action. They have 2 great days of wrestling outside, so make sure you go tap in with that. Thank you guys so much. As always, be safe and stay dangerous. We will see you next time. Yes, sir.